figure out. So background in Fidalgo Bay is 1.4 parts per trillion, but their remediation level is 10 parts per trillion. So there's a disconnect here, and ecology actually hasn't discussed anywhere in their document how they're going to address 1.4 parts per trillion. They just talk about 10 parts per trillion, even though they acknowledge that the screening level is background.
Yes.
I know, it's true. And then there's this other piece of information is new. There's a program that has to regulate, they basically regulate dump sites in Puget Sound. If you dredge a waterway and you have all these dredge spoils, you have to put them somewhere. And so the easiest place to put them is out in the ocean somewhere. Let's go out in a fair ways and dump them. Well, in order to do that, your dredge material has to pass some tests. And this program has been looking at dioxins, trying to figure out, okay, what's the safe level of dioxins to be put in the open water, because this dredge management program, which is composed of EPA, Army Corps of Engineers, ecology, and I think someone else, Fish and Wildlife, DNR, okay, and him, and they had to figure out what do we think is safe. So they looked at what background was, acknowledging the bioaccumulative nature of dioxins, and they came up with 4 parts per trillion. And I just think this is a good, it's another piece of information. Another group looked at what they thought the safe was and what background was. They think it's 4 parts per trillion. There are other scientists who think that they did not calculate background correctly and that they should be closer to 2 parts per trillion.
I would be one of those people. We did a lot of independent studying of the data that they used. They used something called the BOLD survey, and the way that they calculated the data that they wanted to use about what was background, many of the tribes didn't agree with, because they were taking areas that they considered outliers that were really high and taking them out of the calculation. So if you have a really high area and you take it out, what does that do? Well, it makes the rest of the averaging a little bit easier to do. So what we were saying is we wanted 2 PPT as a background level, not 4. But this is, again, another reason to think about why don't get your heart set on a number. Because we're saying that the DNMP now says 4. Well, there's a whole discussion behind that, right? It's not just 4, flat and dry. So it's good to think about it in that regard, too. Did you have a question?
Yeah, there's a direct relationship between the safety and cost and cleanup that is what breed or
In general, I would say that yeah.
Well, more expensive, you said, to do cleanup at a high level. Okay. So, what is the estimated cost and who is paying for this? Where are the funds from?
Right now, it's a Department of Ecology. Department of Ecology is fronting the money, but the property owner will be paying for it. So it's expensive, and unfortunately, usually the PLP has been responsible for the contamination. In this case, the PLP is someone who bought the land. So I don't know if we have any PLPs that actually are responsible for the contamination. I think they're long gone.
At this site?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they're gone.
Yeah.
Let me take that back. The port may actually be part of that, but we have. Okay, so this is the grade plan. Yes, we can do it. Yes, we know where the contamination is. We know how contaminated it is, but who's responsible for a site that's been contaminated for 100 years. We run into this a lot of so if this kind of gets back to the dioxin issue, we can see a plume of dioxin emanating on this site.